Hi students, welcome to my engineering graphics class. I am Dr. Vinodkumar, adjunct professor in Cochin University of Science and Technology, Kerala. In this video, isometric projection 21. Isometric projection 21. We are going to discuss a question that has come in almost all universities across our country in the last 2-3 decades. It's about a hollow square prism, 50 mm outside dimensions, 40 mm inside dimensions with a height of 60 mm. A hollow square prism, 50 mm outside square, 40 mm inside square through a height of 60 mm. So what is the thickness of the shell? 5 mm. 50 minus 40 divided by 2, 5 mm thickness shell. On its top, a hemisphere is sitting like this. A hemisphere is sitting like this with the circular face on the top, sitting on the curved surface. This is its elevation. How did I draw that? I have drawn a 60 mm tall, 50 mm wide rectangle, inside which I have marked the dotted lines indicating the 40 mm square. This is 50 mm, this is 40 mm. Now, draw the center line. The hemisphere is 70 mm diameter. The hemisphere which is sitting on the top is 70 mm diameter. It has to touch this corner now. So, with this as center and 35 as radius, cut an arc on the center line, you get C dash. What is C dash? C dash is the center of the hemisphere. Draw 70 and draw an arc. This much of the arc will be dotted because it is inside the hollow part of the square prism. It doesn't sit on the top. It gets into the hole, square hole inside. Now, after drawing this, you will find out this distance x. X. What is x? X is the distance between the geometrical center of the top rhombus and the center of the hemisphere. X. This is 35. This distance is 35. But this is not 35. This is x. X is less than 35. Okay. Now, you have to draw an isoscale. We have to draw an isoscale. On this, which one we will take? This is 60. That is 60. You have to mark 50. You have to mark 40. You have to mark 35. You have to mark ISO 5. Then take x and mark x. Find out the corresponding ISO lines. Agreed? After doing this much, what we do is draw two 30-degree lines, ISO axis 30. Take ISO 50 and mark, construct the rhombus. ISO 50 rhombus. From the four corners, measure ISO 60 up. Subtract ISO 5. Subtract on all four corners. ISO 5 and connect. You have got the inner edge. Mark the center O. You can also mark by subtracting ISO 5 hollow square prism. This is dotted. You have completed the hollow square prism. This is O. This is O. Where is C? C is iso x above O. Measure iso x. You will get O somewhere here. Or C somewhere here. Through C, draw two isolines. These are called isolines. Lines parallel to the isoaxis are called isolines. On this line, measure ISO 35 to this side, ISO 35 to this side, ISO 35 to this side, ISO 35 to this side. Draw parallel lines. What do you get? You get a rhombus. You get a rhombus. These are the corners of the rhombus. You get a rhombus whose side is ISO 70, 35, 35, 35, total 70, 35, 30. ISO 35, ISO 35, ISO 35, ISO 35. So this side is ISO 70. Side is ISO 70. Inside this rhombus, construct a corrected ellipse. How do you correct it? When you correct this rhombus, or when you draw this rhombus, when you draw the ellipse, the major axis of the ellipse will be 70. When you draw the ellipse in this rhombus, the major axis of the ellipse will be 70. Draw the larger diagonal. This is center, this is radius, draw an arc with your compass. This is center, this is radius, draw an arc with your compass. From the center, measure 35 to either side. Draw a smooth curve, freehand curve. How much is this? 70. Then this is center, this is radius, draw an arc. It will just pass tangential to this inner edges of the hollow square prism. This will be firm, this much will be firm, this will be dotted. This distance will be how much? This distance will be 70. This is ISO 50 square. This is ISO 60. This is ISO X. This height is ISO X. From the center to C, ISO X. Very, very good question. You will feel that the prism, the hemisphere is sitting there, isn't it? Suppose you don't correct the ellipse. What happens if you don't correct the ellipse? This major axis will not be 70, it will be about 65. And when you take this as center and this as radius, draw an arc, the hemisphere will be in space, it will be suspended in space, it will not touch the prism, hollow prism. That's the error that will come if you don't correct the ellipse. Agreed? Now, if you are drawing the ISO view of this problem, what is the dimension? Instead of ISO 50, it is 50. Instead of ISO 5, reducing ISO 5, it is, you reduce 5. The height is, instead of ISO 60, the height will be 60. Instead of ISO x, it will be x. Instead of ISO 70, it will be 70. And therefore, the major axis of the ellipse will be 70 divided by 0.815. That is the ISO view. ISO view also can come. It's very, very important question. You have to positively draw this and learn. It's very difficult to get this correct till tangential. You have to be very careful. It should not go tilt. It should not have lateral deflection. If it deflect laterally, no, it will not sit on the curved surface. I mean, edges of the curved surface will not sit on the edge of the square prism. Okay. Thank you.